You're listening to The English Struggler. Real stories of people who couldn't speak English, but refused to give up. If you're learning English, this channel is for you, because your voice matters, and your story is not small. To every English learner watching this, we know the pain of not finding the right words, of being silent when the world is speaking. But every word you learn, every sentence you try, is a step toward freedom. You are not alone. You are one of us. You are an English struggler. And one day, the whole world will hear you. She stepped out of the airport. The air was dry, hot, filled with dreams. This was Dubai. And she was just a 19-year-old girl from Bangladesh. She had never seen a building taller than her school. Now she was staring at skyscrapers that kissed the sky. "Is this real?" she whispered in Bengali. But no one heard her. And no one would understand her even if they did. Because this was a city of English. And she didn't speak a word. She had arrived 2 days ago. A friend of her cousin arranged a job for her. Housekeeping staff in a luxury hotel. 5 stars. Glass elevators. English signs everywhere. On her first morning, a lady at the reception said, "Uniform? Name tag?" She froze. She smiled, nodded, followed another staff member silently. She had no idea what that sentence meant, but she copied everything the others were doing. That became her secret weapon, copying silently. She had made a decision. I will survive, even if I don't speak. Every day, she folded towels, cleaned rooms, fixed beds, and smiled at guests pretending she understood everything. But every knock at the door, every guest interaction, felt like a bomb waiting to explode. On the 3rd day, a British tourist opened his door and said, "Can I get 2 extra towels, please?" She froze. Not a single word made sense. She smiled, nodded again, her favourite escape, then rushed to the supervisor, panicked. She couldn't ask in English, so she pointed at the guest's room, held up 2 fingers, and mimicked drying her hands. Her supervisor understood, gave her 2 towels. Disaster averted. But inside her heart, terror, shame, and silence. What if one day someone complains? What if I lose this job? What if someone yells at me in English and I just stand there? She cried some nights, not because of the hard work, but because of the helplessness. Because in a city of lights, she felt like a shadow. That night, in the staff room, she saw 2 girls laughing while watching an English video on TikTok. She sat in the corner, quietly. One of the girls looked at her and said, "You speak English?" She smiled, shook her head, and said, for the first time, in a very low voice, "Number, but I want to." The room went quiet. The night she said, "Number, but I want to," was the night something changed inside her. Not around her, no. The hotel was still the same. The rooms were still spotless. The guests were still loud. But inside her, a tiny seed had cracked open. The desire to learn. The next morning, she woke up before the alarm. 5:30 a.m. Still dark outside. Still dark inside her vocabulary. She looked into the mirror in the staff washroom. Practiced one line again and again. "Good morning, sir. Room cleaning." She whispered it 10 times. Her tongue twisted. She had never said "sir" before. Not like this. But she was determined. Room 907. An American businessman opened the door. She held her breath, and with a trembling voice said, "Good morning, sir. Room cleaning." He smiled, nodded, and walked out. That was it. But to her, it felt like she had crossed a mountain. Learning one line didn't mean safety. The city was moving fast. Tourists from 50 countries. Different accents. Different slangs. Too many words. She watched YouTube videos late at night, whispering words like towel, mirror, soap, bathroom, like they were magic spells. Sometimes, she repeated English words while cleaning toilets, because that was her classroom. One evening, disaster almost happened. A Russian guest was angry. Something missing in the room. He shouted at her. "Where's the hairdryer?" I said yesterday. She had no idea what he said. The words hit her ears like wind. She stood frozen, heart pounding, eyes wet. The guest raised his voice. Other guests started to look. Her supervisor came running, explained the situation, handled it. But after the guests left, the supervisor looked at her and said, "You must learn English, or you can't continue here long." It felt like a knife in her chest. That night, she didn't eat dinner. She sat by the window in the dorm, staring at the glowing city. She whispered, "I came here to work, not to speak. But now, I must." The next day, something unexpected happened. A Filipino girl from the same staff team walked up to her. "Hey," she said with a kind smile. "You really want to learn English?" The Bangladeshi girl nodded like a child. The Filipino girl smiled again. "Okay, from today, 10 minutes every night. I teach you. You teach me your language. Deal?" She couldn't believe it. Her eyes filled with tears. For the first time, she wasn't alone. That night, they sat in the back corner of the staff room. The first lesson was simple. "My name is... How are you?" "Thank you, sir." She repeated each sentence with a quiet fire in her eyes. And when she said, "Good night," for the first time ever in English, it didn't sound like fear. It sounded like hope. One Thursday afternoon, the manager's assistant came to the staff dorms. He was holding a paper in his hand. He looked around and called her name. "Manager wants to speak to you." She froze. Completely. Her heart dropped. Why? What did I do? Did someone complain? Every step toward the office felt like walking to a courtroom. The manager, a tall Lebanese man, sat behind a glass desk. He looked at her. Not angry. Not smiling. Just serious. He placed a guest feedback card on the table. It read, "The housekeeping girl didn't speak English, but she smiled with such honesty it made my day better. Please tell her. Thank you." Her hands started shaking. Then the manager asked, "Why didn't you tell us you didn't speak English?" Silence. Then she replied slowly, "Because I was scared. But I'm learning now. Every night. Little. Little." She struggled to speak. But this time, not because of fear, because of tears. The manager nodded. Then he said something she never imagined. "We are launching a training program next month for English support. You will join first, paid hours, and we will make sure no one like you feels afraid again." She couldn't believe it. She wanted to cry, to laugh, to run, and tell her parents back home. They saw me. They didn't fire me. They understood. 6 months later, she stood in the same hotel. But this time, not as just a cleaner. She had become a floor supervisor. Her English? Still broken. Still learning. But now she could say, "Sir, if you need anything, just call me. Ma'am, your room is ready. Welcome to Dubai." And every time she spoke, she remembered that first day, when her silence was her only language. Now, her voice was her strength. Not everyone in Dubai is rich. Not every story is gold. Some are silent. Some are made of broken words, cheap shoes, and hidden tears. But if there's one thing that can turn a life around, it's not money, not magic. It's the desire to learn and the courage to keep going. Because in a city full of lights, even the quietest girl can shine. To the thousands of girls working in silence, afraid to speak, we see you, we hear you, and one day the world will too. To every English learner watching this, we know the pain of not finding the right words, of being silent when the world is speaking. But every word you learn, every sentence you try, is a step toward freedom. You are not alone. You are one of us. You are an English struggler. And one day, the whole world will hear you.